Hi, I'm Nancy Johnson with Intention to Balance. I work with a healthcare company that specializes in essential oils. And welcome to Holistic Living, where we are showing people different modalities and featuring different people that are helping people understand how healthy living can help you without side effects. So today I have a wonderful guest, Ginny Mackles. She is a holistic life coach and also a mental health counselor. And she's very accomplished. She actually got recognized recently from Minnetonka. I have to read all this because it's so cool. She got an award, or been recognized in Minnetonka Award in the Holistic Medicine Practitioner category. So welcome, Ginny. So happy to have you here. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add before we jump in.
Thank you, Nancy. It's great to be here.
Good, good. Yeah. Well, today we're talking about this topic that is so near and dear to my heart. Stress and anxiety, and it's such a big topic, and that's kind of my first question. It's like, you know, why do you feel like so many, you've been doing this for over, 30 years, and it's like, why, what have you seen changes in that, or why are so many people stressed and have anxiety these days?
Over the 30 years that I've been practicing, I noticed that there were times when people were making life transitions that we would all categorize as stressful. A change in job or a change in relationship status, having a baby, making a big move. But nowadays, it seems like there's no off button. That I think a lot of the stress people are feeling are from the pressures of everyday life. It's, you know, a lot of times we can blame it on social media and electronics, but really it's more about, that's part of it, but it's likely more about we don't really turn things off. There was a time when the day ended and we really felt like everything had ended, rather than this idea of 24/7. So it's not uncommon for people who are working in certain types of jobs to be needed or expected to check their emails late at night or to do things that keep them on, instead of really being conscious of when to close the day.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because I know, you know, I work from home, so I have to set my schedule as much as I can, but I know friends who have aging parents and they keep their phones on at night because they want to hear from them, but then someone else might, you know, contact them and wakes them up, so people don't get really quality sleep. So I'm sure that affects.
It's the sleep, but it's also just the pressures of what you just described. Having a job, trying to balance it, the work-life balance, the idea of aging parents, how to take care of them. Many people in our age group have aging parents and children or grandchildren. So we've got the whole range of generational stress and the pressures of life in general.
Right. And I know you're a mindfulness coach, and what does that mean, or what does that look like?
So mindfulness is a term that dates back centuries ago. One of the things to notice about mindfulness, though, it's contemporary in the standpoint of how we stay present instead of distracted by the past or the future. So that's an important aspect of mindfulness.
Right.
So the other aspect of what I do is considered body-mind therapy. So as a body-mind therapist, when we think of the difference between those two things, a body therapist might be someone like a massage therapist.
Okay.
A massage therapist that is focused on the physical body. I started as a mental health therapist, so as a psychotherapist, the idea of being focused on the mental health. Combining them is a holistic approach. So the idea of body, mind, spirit, and emotions, looking at all of them and in a holistic way, helps us to really tap into all the aspects of ourself. And the theory behind that, the holistic approach of body, mind, and spirit and emotions, is that when we have all the aspects of ourself on the same page, then by being most congruent, we have access to our best self. It's the place where we'll have the least inner stress because we're in alignment with our own self rather than thinking a should, feeling a certain emotion, and taking an action that's not consistent with the others.
Right.
Then we're kind of disjointed and saying things we don't really believe or doing things we don't really want to do. And the holistic approach of body-mind therapy is to get all of that on the same page.
I love that. And I love, what you sent me, and everybody, we're going to show you how you can have access to this too, which talks about the 3 simple ways to reduce, stress and fatigue, which is huge. And the first one, that you talk about is wholeness. And I like that you talked about, or I want to know more about, you said start your day with conscious awareness. So what does that mean?
So I talk about this as bookends. Remember the old days when we had books on a bookshelf?
Yeah.
And the bookends, or parens, if you want to consider it that way, the idea of how do we begin the day consciously and how do we end the day consciously, rather than that 24/7 that we just talked about. So there are many techniques to utilize with regard to beginning the day consciously, and there aren't any right ways to do that. I'm just going to suggest some that might be helpful. So, for example, some people begin with, while they're still lying in bed, just doing a little stretching, or as a Reiki practitioner, I might do a little energy balancing, or I might do a little meditation even before I'm getting out of bed, noticing the breath and allowing the breath to bring us out of sleep state and into conscious awareness. Getting out of bed consciously, I'm awake, I'm ready to start my day, coming from fullness. And I like the term overflow. So the idea of I'm starting my day from fullness, and instead of hitting the ground running and then feeling drained throughout the day. The other ideas are to really be conscious of the wellness aspects in our life, like a movement. For some people it's exercising, for some people it's stretching or walking, eating breakfast.
Right.
Instead of just that coffee in the car.
Right.
Eating an actual breakfast. So nutrition, kind of looking at how we balance ourselves, all of those aspects will help us to feel less stress. Instead of just running on caffeine, we're using food for nutrition purposes. We're being consciously aware of our body and all of its incredible signals that it offers us. And through that conscious awareness of starting the day, feeling the fullness, and then at the end of the day, so we're opening the day, and then at the end of the day, closing it. So whether that's the metaphoric turning off the phone, closing the computer, locking the door, turning off the lights, getting into bed without a ton of distractions, letting go of the day. And this can be as simple as considering 3 breaths of letting go. Or it can be something like doing a little reading or a little inspirational music, or something that will bring you in out of the day-to-day activity and into a more restful place so you can make a peaceful transition into sleep.
Interesting.
Consciously letting go of the day. Some people use journaling at that time to say what happened today, what's going on, and then what it does when we journal, we actually are giving our mind an opportunity to let go of what we're processing through the act of releasing it in writing, so we don't necessarily take that into sleep state to disrupt us.
Yeah. So what do you say to the people, because I have a lot of friends, I do get up, I do a lot of those things. I stretch in bed and I'm thankful. I put my hand on my chest. I get up in the mirror and say something nice to myself.
Awesome.
To start my day. But I know a lot of people who don't eat breakfast. I have to because I have low blood sugar. But anyway, I enjoy it and it gets my day going. But what do you say to those people who don't have time? I don't have time to eat breakfast.
Well, I say it's not about time. It's about priority. So whether that's taking care of your health, or whether that in one way to do that is to eat a breakfast, if we think of it as a fullness, bringing in what is fullness going to offer you, or are we going to run on empty?
Right.
And if we're running on empty, we're not helping, you know, those around us, the job, the family, whatever it might be. I was a single mother, and one of the things that I found is I had that excuse often where I would say, I don't have time, I don't have time. And then I realized I needed to find my motivation. And my motivation was to be there for my children. I was going to work so I could be there for my children, but then I put into place, I'll utilize that motivation until I can do it on my own. I'll temporarily use my children as the motivation to take care of me. Because if I'm not healthy, I can't be there for them.
I love that. That just hit a chord with me. The motivation part is people finding what that motivation is.
Find your motivation. What is your motivation to get up for the day? And utilize that in a healthy way and find ways to support you so that you feel that sense of health and fullness and consciousness. And then at the end of the day, find a way to let it go.
Yeah.
So that's the bookend idea.
I love that. And your second step is meditation, which I've been doing for a long time. And there's so many different ways to do meditation. And sometimes people, I think, make it more complicated than it has to be. But how do you encourage people to do that or teach that? Because that's another thing where people just say, I don't have enough time.
I speak a lot on meditation. It's something I've been practicing even before I was a therapist or life coach. Meditation, many people say they can't do it. And I think the main reason they say that is because of their expectation about what meditation is. And meditation can, for some people, ultimately gets to quieting the mind, which is very powerful, but it hardly ever starts there. And even for people like myself who have been doing it for over 30 years, there are some days where it's just like I'm really distracted with my thinking, and just being in a quiet place of peace for just a couple moments, taking a few breaths, can give me what I need to regroup. So I recommend a couple things for meditation. One of the easiest meditations is a guided meditation, which basically is put on a recording, listen to an app, listen to my CD that has a breath counting meditation on it, where you just push a button and you just sit and listen. And so in that way it's passive, and you don't have to be distracted by the thoughts you're thinking, because you keep bringing it back to the focal point, which in a guided meditation is the guidance. So when we do something like a breath counting meditation, it doesn't need to be guided. It can be as simple as I'm noticing my breath. I'm just sitting here, preferably eyes closed, for a few moments, noticing my breath. And in doing that, I'm letting go of some of the stressors of the busy mind.
So do you think meditation works better sitting up, laying down, or doesn't it really matter?
Sitting up. I recommend sitting up because many people, especially at the beginning, equate laying down to sleep. So the body system will likely say, oh, it's time to sleep. And if you fall asleep when you're meditating, the trick is to get uncomfortable. And by that I mean don't slouch back, sit upright, don't have back support. Do what you need to do, because your body system isn't going to fall over. It won't let you do that. It'll keep you alert enough to be meditating.
I love that. I've never really thought about that, because I've done it both ways, but typically I sit up. But I do have, a couch behind me, so I'll practice more on sitting up straight.
If you get too distracted or overly relaxed, so you're feeling like you're not really tapped into that sense of peace, instead you want to just zone out, that's when you would adjust your posture.
Nice. Love that. And then the third way is about getting grounded. And in there I like that you talked about an energetic roots exercise. So would love you to share more about that.
Absolutely. So many times we talk about groundedness as the earth, as the idea that the earth, our connection to the earth. I prefer to look, that is one way to be grounded, but I prefer to think of it as I mentioned before, we've got body, mind, spirit, and emotions. Our body is our densest part of our being, right? It's physically the densest part of our being. So in a sense, being grounded is about being connected with our physicality, our physical body. So we can do that by connecting to the earth, or we can do that by really paying attention to our physical body. So groundedness can be, and for most of us it's going to be easier to close your eyes and to just imagine you're bringing your point of awareness down into your body as deeply as possible, usually to the hips, to the sitting posture, to the legs, to your feet. Lower in the body is going to help you feel more present in the body. Most of the time, we're very active and present to our thoughts. That's not, and people think they're grounded because they're aware of their thinking. Groundedness is about being more present in your physical body, more down into the body. And think of it as the physical body as the container, the physical container for body, for spirit, emotions, and mindset.
And what do you mean down lower into the body, or how do?
So literally right now we're sitting on chairs.
Yeah.
So one way to get grounded would be to just bring your point of awareness to your sitting posture.
Okay.
And bring your point of, when you're standing, feel your feet touching the earth, the ground. When you're sitting, feel your body supported by the chair. And then do you notice what starts to happen as your point of awareness goes into your body instead of out?
Yeah, because I do walking meditation, and I know, and that's one of the things they talk about, you know, your feet touching the ground, and I've learned to, you know, even being grounded, like when people get head tension, you know, go outside and stand in the grass for a while.
Well, perfect. Think of, so that's a great de-stressor. Many of us, so we're talking about grounded in the physical body, but then the next step might be connecting to the earth. Yeah. A great de-stressor is to be outside in nature and really feel a connection to the earth. And for most people, that's going to be relaxing. A walking meditation is actually also a type of mindfulness. So I like to encourage people to begin with very simple meditation, like a guided meditation, which you can get on an app, or you know, many different forms of simple guided meditations. They can be 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be a big time amount.
Yeah.
What's important about it, though, is that it's consistent. Because research has told us that consistent meditation will support us in de-stressing. We've got proof of that now, scientifically.
I get it. It's so great. I can't even say enough about meditation, and people just do it. But also, you know, too, you also do Reiki and hypnotherapy, and how do you bring that into your practice with people and helping them de-stress? Because I'm talking about all the components, one of the body system, I honor the thoughts we think, but I also have noticed that we often give them a lot more attention than the other parts of our being. And like we give power to the mind, power to the brain, as if it's all of us. And I look at it as that's part of us and a powerful part of us. But in my practice, what we'll look at is what thought forms, what mindset, is it serving you? Is it not serving you? Is it filled with shoulds that don't even belong to you, that you acquired from other authority figures in your past, that you're just going through life based on those shoulds? Or are you tuned into your own self? And from that ability to be tuned in, then listening to what your best self is and what your body system is trying to help you in knowing about yourself. So when people come to me for holistic life coaching, we might start with what are some goals that you want to work on, and I will look at what is their belief system around it. I will also, and that's where hypnotherapy or regression therapy can come in. I also use energy healing, like a modality of Reiki, to help people relax after they've gained an insight from our session. We conclude with 15 or 20 minutes at the end where they can just settle it in rather than finishing the session and then running to their next thing to do. Yeah.
I like to take time for integration. I think the integration piece is really wonderful and powerful, and it really helps people get out of their head and bring it into their body.
Yeah, and I really like the piece, the shoulds, because we were just talking about that yesterday, a group I was with, that her husband and wife, they say to each other, "You just shoulded me." And it's like, how do people let go of, I think that causes so much stress and anxiety with people, is they feel like, oh, I should do this, I should do this. I learned how to say no a long time ago to things that I just am not interested in or not going to do, or just need to be myself that day or something. It's like, do you help people get through that?
Absolutely. I would say anytime someone observes the thought they're thinking and the word should is in it, push that pause button and examine it momentarily to notice that it's likely not yours. It's likely something you acquired from an authority figure, from an old structure that I'm supposed to, this is the way my job is supposed to be, this is what makes me a good person, I should be acting this way, or this is a role in life that I should be doing. So I invite people to pause and take a look at, do you really believe that? Do you really feel that? Is it your best self, or is it something you're trying to shapeshift to be?
Yeah. And I mean, I liken that to the word try, because a lot of people say, I'm going to try to do that. And it's like, well, either you are or you aren't.
Right.
Which is it? Like, I'm going to try to go to that party.
Try is stated as an intention, but most of the time it means I'm putting it out there. I'm going to say I did it, but trying doesn't hit the target.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I know you're also a mind-body therapist. And is that, I mean, that's still kind of the MindBodySpirit, is that more of a description of that, like helping people?
Again, that idea of getting all the parts of our being, our complex system, isn't just head and heart and physical action. It's all of it working together. And the more we can be mindful of that, using mindfulness practices like knowing, being self-aware, or learning how to be more self-aware, then we can see how to get ourselves on the same page, how to get the mind and the thoughts and the emotion and the actions congruent. And that will release some inner stress. We'll feel less stress when we're all of our parts are on the same page.
Right.
And then we're not evaluating or judging ourselves based on anything outside of ourselves or other people. We're just striving for our best self as our goal, instead of a judgment or a point of comparison outside of ourselves, which we will never be able to attain, most likely.
Right. I know people judge themselves so much. I mean, we're guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it. But I know another piece that you talk about is journaling, which I'm in big favor of journaling, and that you actually do a 21-day course. And I'd love to, for you to share more and to help people, when you say get out of yourself, how journaling maybe can even help with that.
I think of it more as get out of your mind, get out of your brain activity that just spins over topics. So one way to do it is to journal like a mind dump. It's not a diary per se. It's not, this is what I did today. It's more of, this is what I'm thinking about. Sometimes it leads to inspiration. Sometimes it leads to just releasing thoughts that we're spinning. The idea of we're using our energy to spin on thoughts that are not really productive for us. So a journal can help us kind of just let go of those. And sometimes through the journaling process, we might end up with an insight, or we might end up just feeling more centered from the experience itself.
Yeah, because I learned to do that a while ago, where I would ask myself a question, and I would write the question down and then just keep writing until something came out. And I usually had some kind of epiphany after it, and I'm sure people experience that. But so the journaling, just by doing that, it helps people just release stress?
So think of it as letting it out of your body through the writing. Now, artists might do it by creating a song or drawing a picture. The idea of some physical action that represents the stress you're looking to release. Or in a journaling idea, going into the onion peel layers of the first thing you write as an answer to the question you just posed might not be the best answer. It might be the should. Right. And then you keep going, maybe go down a little deeper, and then as you journal, you'll start to see more awareness from a deeper place within you.
Awareness, yes. And that's, I feel like so many people I do think social media causes a lot of it. And what do you feel about the whole EMF things with the phones and that? Does that create physical stress with people?
Well, I was just going to show you, I have a little something, balancer on my phone and my computer. Grounding, think of electricity.
Yeah.
And just from that standpoint, that grounding practice we talked about before, being present in our body, connected to the earth. Maybe we can go back and talk about that earth connection, to walk through the idea of that electrical energy that we're surrounded by all of the time. One way to feel less affected by it is to ground ourselves. And one way to do that is to imagine these energetic roots. I think of it as an example of a tree. So a tree has these incredible root systems grounded in deep into the earth. And we can do that in our imagination by visualizing root-like energy systems out of the bottoms of our feet, to just have that flow of energy, just like we do in our breath. We breathe in and we exhale. We're having that cycle all the time on our breath. And then when we add to that a conscious groundedness, we've got flow and presence.
Yes. And I know I use my essential oils too to help me in all of my practices to help ground us, because sometimes we're just out of balance, I mean, there's so many reasons that people are out of balance. Do you walk through that with people, like helping them with food and other things that might be causing that?
I do. I actually have what I call a wellness wheel, which is like a pie chart that has all the different components of life, the main areas of life: friendship, socialization, finances, nutrition, body health. The whole. We go through the whole. Taking a look at where are you overexpressing, where are you underexpressing. Now, harmony is, for most of us, isn't going to look equal. It's not going to look completely balanced, but it will be your version of, if something's extreme in one area and depleted in another, that's where we will look at to give more attention to bring balance.
Oh yeah, that makes total sense, because everybody is different. It's going to be different for everybody what their priorities are.
But everyone needs to eat.
Right.
Right? Everyone needs some form of activity. Everyone needs social connection. So it's just a matter of, to what degree, because people, when they go through this exercise with me, it's really visual. And it's easy to look at and say, oh yeah, I'm way out of balance. I'm working, but I'm not playing. I put that in as one of the play, fun, and recreation. And a lot of people are really good at work and being responsible, and sometimes we need to work at having fun.
That used to be my motto: I work hard and I play hard.
Yeah.
Because I said, you got to enjoy life too, and laughing is just such a great outlet for stress. And I know we only have a little bit of time left. I just want to wrap up. I know you offer a lot, as far as in person, and you have some Reiki classes coming up, and we're going to, at the end, everybody will be able to see where they can connect with you if they want to learn more. And you do speaking engagements, and you have your award-winning meditation CD, which is a beautiful thing, as I like to say. So this time goes by so fast, and there's always so much to talk about, and I so appreciate your being here and sharing all of your wisdom, because I just think it's just so important for just to figure out how people can be less stressed in this world.
So I would really encourage everyone who's listening to this to just take even one of these ideas and put it into practice. Don't try to do them all. Have reasonable, measurable goals, and just take one of these ideas and just say, okay, I'm going to try that one.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So great. All right.